What's up, everybody? It's Rishi, co-founder of Prilo.ai, which is the #1 CTSO preparation platform to help you dominate DECA. If you're watching this video, you've either already proven yourself at regionals or you're getting a head start for next year. But regardless of the fact, states is a different beast. At this level, everyone already knows the basics. Defining your performance indicators, structuring your role play, presenting with confidence. But the biggest separator is literally creativity. How well you generate and execute unique solutions will decide whether or not you make it to SCDC this year. The biggest mistake at states, you might ask? Relying on generic solutions. Do you think that these underclassmen who are doing principals events are creating these state-of-the-art ideas for every single judge that they come across? No. Instead of using cliche visuals like business cards or basic charts, you need to be thinking strategically. You want your visuals to be actively supporting the ideas that you're discussing throughout your presentation. Being memorable is key, and to make this video memorable for you, I'm going to try to dive into as many examples as possible. For example, if your scenario is about improving customer loyalty, don't suggest a rewards program like every other freshman will. Design a dynamic loyalty app with a referral system maybe. You can even sketch out like a simple interface or like a wireframe of an app, or describe a viral launch campaign on the marketing side. Creativity isn't something that's just nice to have. Like in the real business world, it's something that actually makes your ideas way more persuasive. Regionals, your prep time probably went towards defining performance indicators and trying to check every single box on the judge's page. That might help you get past the people who are trying to go to DECA for partying, but at states, this will definitely not work. Instead, try to put 30 to 35% of your time into creating a structure with the definition of performance indicators, and put 65 to 70% of your time into developing creative and high impact solutions that connect back to those performance indicators. All right, and 70% might seem too high, but judges have been hearing, again, the same thing over and over again. And you need something to catch their attention and show them something novel. And look, simple textbook definitions are actually okay to get the performance indicator started. However, they want to see how you connect this back to a unique solution instead of blabbering on about it for 4 to 5 sentences, which takes up about a minute of your time. So now I'm going to quit blabbering and go into an example of my own. So let's say you had some performance indicator that was like, explain the importance of customer loyalty. I don't know if this is a real one, but let's say you had it, right? You can start off by saying customer loyalty increases repeat business and brand trust. That's fine. But after that, you want to apply it directly into the scenario. So you can say something like, since our business is struggling with repeat customers, I'm proposing an interactive rewards program where customers can earn points for their purchases, their social shares, and referrals. And it keeps them engaged in the long term by gamifying our app. So, given what I already told you about impressing the judge and trying to be unique, how are you going to go about doing that in such short prep time when you have so many performance indicators? So the first thing I want you to do is to disregard the first thought that comes to mind, because 80% of people are going to be using this exact same solution that you just thought of to present to the judge. And I want you to push yourself to attack this scenario from a more innovative angle, because it just helps you to get more creativity points, right? The second thing I want you to do is to try to tie your solution to some sort of industry trend or something that's going on in the news, disregarding everything political. The judges really like when you do connect your solution back to something that's happening in the real world. The third thing I want you to do is to try to complement your solution with some sort of visual aid, like a quick sketch, because that just helps your judge to remember you when they go into the scoring process. Here's example number 3. So let's say you had some scenario about boosting restaurant sales, right? Something like that. Don't give me some answer like social media ads or putting posters in a library, right? Stuff like that is heard by the judges all the time by these underclassmen. No hate to underclassmen, right? We see stuff about AI all the time in the news, right? We see ChatGPT, DeepSeek, Claude, all these things, right? So why don't you pitch an AI-powered reservation system and it personalizes deals based on consumer preferences, right? Sounds fancy, sounds cool, and it relates back to the problem. Another thing, we all watch TikTok, right? So why don't you suggest some sort of TikTok influencer partnership with viral food challenges like mukbangs? All this stuff is stuff you see on your phone every day, right? So why don't you just put it inside your roleplay? It'll definitely impress the judge. That was a memorable response. Now, I'm just gonna backtrack real quick to an old video that I made where we talked about how you can structure the roleplay during your prep time on paper. So I'm just gonna roll that clip real quick.
In a roleplay, you should define the indicator, give an example applied to the topic, connect it back to the scenario, and then just go above and beyond. That extra effort of going above and beyond, whether it be creating business cards or visual aids, sets you apart from the competition.
This is called the DECA method, and it's what you should be doing in each of the boxes on your paper for each performance indicator. So you should fold your paper into an even amount of boxes that represent the amount of performance indicators that you have, and then write out this acronym in each of those boxes so then you can map out each performance indicator. And this entire process will take a majority of your roleplay time, including your preparation time as well, but make sure you have at least a minute or two to talk about your creative aspects and show off your visual aids to the judge to impress them. Let's jump into another example. Here's example number 4, and we're gonna take this example into a new career cluster, which is finance. So let's say you had a financial services roleplay, and the performance indicator that you had was explain the nature of overhead costs. This is a performance indicator that you'll see in technical role plays and also more basic ones like principles events. So most competitors would say something like, overhead costs are fixed expenses like rent, utilities, and insurance. That's a good starter sentence, but what most competitors do is blabber on about the examples of overhead costs and never actually connect it back to the problem with something creative, right? So a stronger answer would say something like, instead of cutting costs across the board, we will minimize unnecessary overhead by switching to AI chatbots for customer service, saving 30% in staffing costs without reducing the customer experience that we hold personally. Now, if we complement this response with the first sentence that most competitors say, this would actually be a very memorable response to a performance indicator to get started, right? We define the performance indicator, we immediately get into the solution that's extremely creative, right? And we connect it back to the problem, which is cutting overhead costs. Imagine if we paired this with a visual. Something like a cost breakdown chart would really lock the judge in and make them memorize us. Speaking of the breakdown chart, I actually consider that to be an amazing visual. However, not all visuals are helpful. Some of them actually harm you if they're too generic. Here's some good visuals and here's some bad ones. Starting on the good visual side, maybe a simple wireframe for like an app-based solution would be pretty cool because they can see the functionality of your app. Then a flow chart showing the customer experience journey would be really good for customer service type of role plays. Then a real world example, like a trend report or like an influence example, would be super cool because that relates back to what's going on in the real world. And judges really like to see that because they can relate with it. Now, on the bad visual side, we see a plain business card that adds nothing. Now, don't get me wrong. For the regionals competition, this actually works. But for states, it doesn't. Then a generic pie chart that gives no insight. I see this everywhere and I honestly don't know why people make it. Then a poster with words that the judge can already hear from you. Like, what's the point of drawing a billboard if you're just gonna say the words again? Unless it's like part of your marketing mix, just don't do this, please. The best visuals make the idea easier to understand and harder to forget. I also want to provide some miscellaneous advice that I think you guys are going to find helpful. So in the first 2 minutes of your roleplay, I want you guys to try to catch the name of your judge and use that to start off the sentences that are super vital in your roleplay. Like when you start to talk about a performance indicator and how that connects to the creative aspect, try to use their name to start off the sentence, because when you use someone's name, it awakens them, and it also makes them feel like the solution that's being presented to them is tailored to them. And that's super important because when the judges look back and think, who am I going to move on to the ICDC level? They think back to the person who personalized the solution to them and was super cool. Now, you're watching this video, but how are you really going to practice and put this into action? Well, definitely don't try and go schedule meetings with your advisor because they have 80 to 90 other people in your club to tend to as well. And then your friends are just as clueless as you. So if there's one solution, it's Prilo.ai. All right, so this is the Prilo interface. I'm just gonna quickly go over the roleplay section and show you how things work. So here, you just have to input some scenario information, And you can record a role play with the prep time and the presentation time right here, all from our interface. After you have the video, just gotta download it, upload it to Google Drive, and input some information right here that allows you to get it graded within just a minute. So you just have to put in some information like the scenario, the questions, performance indicator, press submit, wait 1 minute, go over to the role play section once it's done, and this person got a 98.75. It gives you the 21st century skills, the performance indicators, and on top of that, some additional information on how you can get better. This person 100% made it to states, and you will too if you use Prilo. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to drop a like down below and also comment what type of video ideas you want us to put out to help you win DECA. See you in the next one.